but there is a systemic illness in medicine as an industry, right? From the health insurance companies and the amount of reimbursement doctors are getting. We were sitting at a table once, and when I was an administrator, and one of the doctors, they had this joke going on. What is the smallest amount of reimbursement that you got? And someone won when they said 10 cents.
You said something that really resonated with me is you have to know your value. And I think, unfortunately, through this journey, we're almost stripped of our value. We're kind of taught that we have no transferable skills, right? Like, this is it, this is what you got to do. Um, but it took me stepping away from an academic position to be like, well, that's just not true. If I was smart enough to go through all of this, I can figure out a way to make this career work for me. Um, and probably make more impact than I could, like you said, sitting in clinic. So I can still help people, but I also can help myself. And that's, I think, the big piece that's lost um, in most healthcare workers who are burned out, like their journeys. They kind of forgot who they were, and it's really hard to pour from an empty cup.
It is, it is. And I'll even say too, when you come away from clinical medicine, you're so broken because you've had people beat you down, beat you down, beat you down, and make you feel like you're not worthy or not good enough. So that when you plug into something else, you're like, oh my God, they took me. I hope they don't find out all the bad things I did in my past. I hope they don't find out I got a C in psych. Something crazy, right? But you can bring it with you. So I would suggest that someone go to a therapist or someone like me who understands so that you can be deprogrammed. Um, and think about the life that you want to have, right? We were so convinced and brainwashed that by serving others, we had to sacrifice ourselves. So, and that's the big deal. But if you break it down, and a friend of mine, she is an engineer, and she did this wonderfully. She said, technology needs to catch up with where medicine is at. And I'm like, hmm. She said, right now, technology is just this big ball. And so it has a lot of growth that still needs to take place. Medicine is broken down into general medicine. You have endocrinology, you have surgery, you have pediatrics, so it's broken down into different specialties, right? And then there are different clinical pathways in each specialty. There's different regulations that go with each specialty, right? There are different skill sets, even from the people who are taking care of you, that go into each skill set. So there's a tremendous amount of opportunity from the fact that we understand that. So that's what I would say to someone who wants to pivot. I would also say don't share with everyone. Don't share your ideas with everyone. Only the people that matter to you in your life. So because they can be avoid the Debbie Downers. I would also pray, right? Trust your intuition, and read all that you can, and go online because people are sharing their stories. I don't want to get to a point where I'm on my deathbed and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gave everything to this career and it ate me alive, and I didn't get any pleasure out of it. I had a good time when I left medicine. I partied as much as I wanted. I wore beautiful dresses. I whatever. Went on vacations. So there's a lot more to life besides for a status type career, and we deserve it. We deserve it.
I mean, I hope things had changed, especially in medical school. The horror stories that you're saying, I hope that it's not the case now, because I know back in the days it was worse. It was much worse, because no one spoke up about it. No one pointed it out. So it was continuing. But nowadays, I think we talked about this, residents are unionizing, which is good. Um, and medical students are I think they need the education to learn how to set boundaries, especially in their clinical rotations, to say no. Honestly, I could see the difference when I was a medical student, and when I was in residency, had medical students who were with me, I could see the shift a bit, right? So I hope that it's kind of improving, but it doesn't improve on its own. It with kind of podcasts like these, people like us and you bringing it up and talking about it, and giving the courage really to those who had the same experiences but are afraid to talk about it because of image, because of being attacked, or being called names. So I hope that it's changing.
Yeah, so I'm surprised that so many people are talking about it. Even people like from the surgery level, right? You're always taught being a surgeon is the top of the echelon, but they're really speaking out about it. And on LinkedIn, there are a few groups that of people who have come together to change medicine. The treatment of medical students and residents is one thing, but there is a systemic illness in medicine as an industry, right? From the health insurance companies and the amount of reimbursement doctors are getting. We were sitting at a table once, and when I was an administrator, and one of the doctors, they had this joke going on. What is the smallest amount of reimbursement that you got? And someone won when they said 10 cents, right? So you're getting a 10-cent check. um, so doctors are no longer autonomous agents, and all of the mistreatment throughout the system, the long hours of studying and sacrifice, and then you have an administrator of a hospital or someone that's in insurance, and they're telling you what you can offer to a patient and what you can't. The gag orders that are in place. Physicians just aren't autonomous agents anymore. And part of that is our fault because we did not learn the business of medicine. Even beforehand, we put ourselves in a position to be taken advantage of. But a little bit of a historical complex. I was working with the chief of medicine at The Ohio State University with a guy, I won't mention his name, very sweet character, old white guy, kind of roly poly, played a guitar on the weekends. But he was telling me that years ago, physicians actually abuse the system with Medicare and Medicaid patients because with that insurance, and this was before all the codes and the CPT codes and that kind of thing. He said you could order any test that you wanted on a patient and the government will pay for it. And he said there was such a thing called Medicare, Medicaid mills, where they would add more and more and more tests because they knew that they would get the full reimbursement for it. So part of the system that we're in now that failed us was set up by people that were before us, that thing. Then what I also notice about careers in general, especially the ones that are male dominated, they tend to pay more, right? But since the reimbursements have gone down on in healthcare, it's not it is not as rigorously male as it used to be. You have more women, right? Because men realize they're not making that kind of money. And so now they open the doors for women to get in. So you'll see that in tech is a male dominated field. I don't know how I end up in these male dominated fields all the time, but but a lot of times those are the fields that, make that kind of money and um need people of power in them. But there's a lot. This didn't just happen overnight. This has been brewing for some time. So I hope that the students can unionize and organize, and physicians as well. Because there's nothing, even if you think about health insurance, if you get sick and you're in medical school or you're a resident, what kind of health insurance did you have, right? Back in the day, that you just go to another doctor and get them to look at it, right? So there was no medical record on the history of whatever it is that you're doing. You're really not even in a system. So you're not getting the care that you're offering someone else. It's bizarre. As an adult, I can look at it and say, okay, that's bizarre.
Has any physician actually approached you and has requested help in pivoting out of clinical practice? And if so, what type of advice do you offer them?
Sure, all the time. So with my program, so my company is Inspired to Evolve. I offer holistic executive coaching services. So my program is basically 4 or 5 different parts. One of them, as my clients say, catch people up. We go in through kind of like an inspiration, motivation, and I challenge them to really look at the tools that they have. And some people have shrunk themselves down so far that they only think maybe 10 things are beneficial. And so I'll do like a diagnostic. I'll go and find them on the internet. Oh no, you spoke at this conference. Oh no, you published this paper. Oh no, you did this. Where they're distilling it to a very small volume of achievements, but I bring those back into play and say you could be a speaker, you could do this, you could do that, and here's the pay scale for it. So I'll do that initial evaluation. Actually, the initial evaluation is a mindset piece. So the affirmations and getting the clarity, and then congratulating that person on their accomplishments, and then daring them to stretch based on building out a roadmap type resume. And then we look at something that I call opportunities for abundance, right? So, what are the fields that you might fit into? And how would you go about doing that? And if they're going to approach someone for networking, we create scripts. Or I might offer them my network, or else I say, hey, I know this program is free. I want you to sign up for this. I want you to sign up for that. And then once I get everything together for that person, then I say, okay, now it's time to execute. But they have to be able to see the opportunities ahead of them. They have to get excited about it. So people really love it. So some clinical people approach me about it, and then some get scared. They become afraid, and they back off. So
I can see, how people in medicine become shrunken. It's just we are taught to be kind of humble, and I struggle this with even my own husband. When he puts a resume together for himself, even though he has Master of Public Health, I see his resume is one page or CV one page, and I'm like, what is this? I mean, you have so much to put in there, and it's very important to, as you said, to take every skill experience that you've done and put it in something that can help you. Take that humble piece out of your mind and say, I mean, it's good to be humble, but also we lack self-advocacy and self-value, and we just kind of shrink down. We're happy to have a job that this is my value. Thank you for giving me this job. Thank you for this is a favor that you're doing for me. But in reality, is that we are the ones who are doing the administration and the hospital system favors. We are the ones who are doing the job, bringing in the money for them, really. So it's crazy to just kind of think about the details of the challenges and the problems that we're facing, that it comes out even from the smallest thing, just the resumes that we write.
right, we do minimize ourselves, and so that resume rewrite is like it's much broader than your regular resume. I wouldn't consider it to be a CV, but I need to get people to see what they've been able to accomplish. And for the most part, when you're trying to accomplish something, there are barriers that you have to overcome to get these things. And what we're essentially doing is saying, okay, I accomplished that and now I'm going to throw it away. No, you're not. You're not. So I put up my course milestones. So the first one is embrace your life vision and industry fit, where we do a deep dive audit of your skills, your capabilities, your lifestyle, and your mindset. So you're thinking about the life that you want to have first, and then what kind of career will fit into that. And we did that opposite. I'll be a doctor and then I'll get married or whatever, and I'll have 3 kids, not realizing, woo, what kind of schedule am I going to have, right? So dare to dream, visualize, get the feels around the kind of life that you want to have, and even stretch it some more, because God, the universe and source, wants us to live in abundance and have the life that's out there. So you look at these things, you start to shift your mindset, barely so. And I had one client say, "Oh my gosh, I can't go in an interview and say I'm great. That can't be me." And I said, "It's you. It's you." So then I talk about what I call an hour of power. So you frame your hour of power. And this is like your first thing in the morning where you're balancing yourself. You're going to do 20 minutes of affirmations or prayer, 20 minutes of exercise, 20 minutes of reading a book or, meditation, but you're going to, shift it. And you don't have to sit there. You can do affirmations while you're in the shower, but you're healing yourself. Essentially, you're really working through it. And then I craft that achievements to expansion mirror. That's the big, that's the big resume. So like you're entrepreneurs, you have a podcast, you're speakers, you're empowering people. So we write all that stuff down that you don't even really think about. And it looks like you have on makeup. So you're fashionistas too. So, we put all that stuff down. And that we use to define your value. And it's also excellent for marketing, pitching, closing deals, and landing jobs. And then I often tell people, they'll say, I can't be worth that much. And so I'll say, okay, well, let's get your skill sets down. And then we'll go to salary.com and we'll plug it in and we'll see what other people are getting paid. And they're like, what? So, based on your geographic area and the skills that you have, you plug it in and you see, what kind of titles or, what kind of salary you could potentially have. Then I do something called opportunities for abundance. And that's where you think about where does your skill set and your offering align with different careers and different companies so that you can have visibility and market penetration, right? And this is scary for people too. And they're like, I can work in that field. I'm like, "Yeah, well, I don't have a degree in that." We always think we need another degree because we're taught we have to have all these degrees. I'm like, nope, you're using your talents. And they're like, so, and we're gonna learn the language. So you're going through LinkedIn or what the job descriptions say, and you're learning, okay, how they'll say business development. Well, what does it mean in this particular field? So you're learning the language. You're going to take a piece of paper and you're starting the language, write it down so that when you have your interviews, you can talk like that. So you learn all these things, your life vision, industry fit, your hour to power, achievements to expansion mirror, your opportunities for abundance. And that opportunities for abundance isn't just one job. It's multiple streams of income. It's different things that you can be doing that excite you so that you can continue to vibe real high. And as you're doing multiple things, you get new ideas. You become even more innovative. I didn't know I could do this. Yes, I can do this. You write it down, you put it away somewhere. So then you start to build the momentum to execute for outcomes. That's when you're reaching out to people. You know what you can say. You've built the script. You've learned the language. You're standing on your value. You know you are great. You know you're the bomb diggity, and you're talking to them with confidence, and you're not shrinking back. And so then you're leveraging your skill set to gain momentum, close deals, land jobs, get new contracts or whatever it is. And you're even learning about how contracts are structured because we didn't learn that in medicine, right? You just go and work. So, how to have business conversations.
Mm.
So,
Speaking of geographic locations, where are you located?
I'm in the DMV, so the DC, Maryland, Virginia area.
Oh wow, I was there too. I lived in Silver Spring, Maryland, and
Okay, I'm in Dumfries, Virginia. I'm right here on the Potomac.
it's a nice area. I really like it. It's a nice
Right.
area.
It's interesting how you can go to school in these places and still not know the area, right? because you're just like inside
In the hospital, stuck in the hospital.
Yeah.
all the
Camille, where
time.
can people find you? Because everything that you said, I think, I'm sure it's resonated with people who are listening to this. And hopefully it'll encourage people to look further than their clinical career and to maybe even take it as a life sentence. Because I think a lot of people, like I said, feel stuck, and they need to feel unstuck. And I think, your program sounds amazing, but if they really just want to reach out to you and learn more, how would they go about doing that?
Sure. I'm always on TikTok. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook as well as Instagram. A lot of professionals will connect with me on LinkedIn though. But I do get a lot of traction on Facebook. And my website is inspire the number two evolve evolve. So that's how they can catch up with me.
I think that sounds great. Do you have any like final closing remarks or any final messages for anyone who might be listening who feels like they need to revamp things to find pleasure in life again?
Don't give in to fear. Fear will make you shut down. You will curl up in a ball, and all you'll hear is the negativity of not good enough, or whatever that negative stuff is. I don't even want it to come out of my mouth. And thoughts become things. So like I say, sometimes you have to change your circle. You have to change your network. You have to get with like-minded people in order for you to grow, develop, and unfold, because you'll always have those people who have those doubts. And so that's the main thing. You have to be able to step out on faith, but you have to fight for yourself. You have to have resilience. You have to be steadfast. You really do have to fight for yourself. So recently I had a diagnosis of breast cancer. I was just diagnosed in February, and so I haven't. I'm trying to set up surgeries and things like that. But even for someone like me, I was like, ah, damn it, what's going on with my life? And when the radiologist came in and said, oh, you have suspicious calcifications, we're going to send you for a biopsy. And I was sitting there and I was like, okay, I'm a Black woman. I'm not held in high regard in society. And gosh, I feel like I'm getting beat up sometimes. And then I was like, but I did attend some pretty good parties, and I've traveled a lot. The only place I still want to go is Hawaii. And I was like, well, if I have to leave, I'm leaving on a good note. Then the other side of me said, girl, get over it. Let's fight. And so you always have to have that good and that bad, that mindset that can kind of swing you back out, or else you'll get caught and you'll start sinking real deep. But know that I'm here to at least have a discussion with anyone who is considering it, because you owe yourself a good life. You owe yourself better, and the possibilities are endless.
Thanks for tuning in to Be Empowered, the podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with someone who needs to hear this. Stay strong, stay empowered, and we'll see you next time.